Hello, and welcome to Health and Fitness Redefined. I'm your host, Anthony Amen. Join me today as we take a dive into the world of health and fitness, where we learn how to overcome adversity, depict fact versus fiction, and see health and fitness in a whole new light. Same thing as every week, guys. I know I've said it before, but if you have not already checked out our website, www.redefined-fitness.com, head over there and check out all of our online coaching. We have online nutrition programs. We have online personal training options, a bunch of stuff for you to go look at that's going to help either take your fitness to the next level, or if you're just looking to get started. Our nutrition program, as we talked about, is all about habit developing. It is not some simple lose 20 pounds in 30 days. This is going to get you eating on the right track so you lose 20 pounds for the rest of your life and you never have to worry about losing it again. But without further ado, let's get into today's episode. We have a guest. His name is Jimmy Clare. He is going to talk to us about his life. He's a motivational speaker. He is in the fitness realm, and he works all on the autism spectrum with all different types of individuals. So he's an amazing story, and I can't wait to hear it. So without further ado, let's welcome to the show, Jimmy. Jimmy, it's a pleasure to have you.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on, man. I just want to kind of fill our audience in a little bit about your life and kind of how you got started.
So how I got started, well, first I basically by the day when I was born, I was been told, well, my parents were told I wasn't going to be able to pretty much do anything at all. And it was like, and it's like, you barely even know me. And I think maybe around 2 or 3-ish, I basically everyone was just, all the naysayers were just telling my parents I wouldn't be able to read higher than a second grade level. I'd be able to walk without braces or crutches. I had neither. And currently I'm in college, reading at a college level and understanding a lot of things at a college level. So I love how the data is wrong and screwy. It's kind of like the Weather Channel, that they could always get the weather wrong, like I'd say 90% of the time. And then, but that didn't stop me. It's fun to prove people wrong, but I know it sounds easier said than done. But then fast forward a little bit, but then I had to overcome bullying, which lasted from, I think it started in 4th grade and lasted until 11th grade. And I got picked on every single day. And I forget how many school days are in a school year, because the college is much shorter than a regular school year. But it was, I basically suffered from depression, a lot of, let's just say, a lot of emotional anger. And the anger had to do a lot with my school district, because they had let's just say, I was more apologetic for all my outbursts and behaviors, and I'm not being sarcastic on that. And it's like, I get it, what I did in school was not the best way to handle things, because I'm just gonna name a few, but please don't judge me, because I don't do that now. And this is like, it was kind of a call for help, and I didn't know how to ask for help in the most politest way ever. I threw pencils across the room. I ripped up pieces of paper. No one else's, just my schoolwork. I mean, of course, after the assignment was finished. But and the reason I don't know the real reason why I did it, but I would like to think that I was asking for help, and because the bullies made me feel like asking for help is a sign of weakness. And so in my own way, I felt like I was asking for help. And there was a few select people who figured that out, but the whole main school district did not. They thought I was a danger to society, and they wanted my therapist at the time and a psychologist, I believe. She didn't really tell. I didn't remember what her title was because this was like all in fourth grade, and uh, when I got suspended for throwing a pencil, and ironically, they thought I was a danger to society and everything else, yet they were using restraint against me, and which is more dangerous than me throwing a pencil on the other side across the room. And I admit that I did some other things that I'm not proud of, and I apologize, but I don't think I ever gotten a real sincere apology from my amazing school district. And I was like, "You want me to apologize, but where's any of your guys' apology? Never, I'm never gonna get one."
It must
I'm
have been
okay with it.
tough growing up like that. And I know I've talked about it before on my show myself. I kind of went through a similar situation, but it's difficult, and it takes a different person to kind of take that, process it, overcome it, and become something else that they're more proud of and be the better person on it. That makes sense.
Yep. It's kinda like me taking the high road, and it's like, well, I think I said 100, sorry, I'm like 100 billion times, and I think by the end of, 12th grade when I was graduating, I actually got an apology from the head principal of my high school, who was actually the head principal of my middle school as well. She basically followed me, like, 3 years later into high school, and, but, uh, uh, it was interesting. Out of the whole district, I got only one apology, and I was like, nothing from the administration at all, but, uh, I was like, "Fine, I'll take what I can get."
Yeah. And then let's move on into kind of how you got involved into the fitness world. Like, how did you become the crazy fitness guy, and what got you started into motivational speaking?
So, how I got started in health and wellness is, well, because I acted out in so many different, ways in school, and this will tie into it. I had a lot of autism meltdowns, which basically I did not like the articles around the web that say, "Oh, it's like a some of them say it's a tantrum, and it's not a tantrum, and it's like my how I like to think of it, it's kinda like a hurricane where there's different categories, category 1, 2, 3, 4. I think it goes up to 5, I believe.
Does, yeah.
Uh, I didn't really pay attention too much in my science classes, when I was younger. I hated everything about school, so you think I was gonna pay attention to science? Me and science did not go together. And but I got to but basically, I had so much information overload, my brain just shut down. I literally just had an on and off switch, and it's like, "I can't process all of this at once. I need to get away," and, but, of course, when you're in s when you're, in some of the when you're in class, you can't just get up and walk out, and unfortunately I was, like, past everything from just, like, coming back to calming down, and that's when my autism meltdown occurred, and but during my, uh but so my therapist had me on this medication, which, tried to keep me on the even keel, so to speak, but I didn't like it because it was just masking my true feelings of, I wouldn't say hatred, but my dislike to the whole school and the bad taste that it has in my mouth. And and I don't know if you've ever seen the Joker movie, but that's basically what my face looked like. I'm always happy, and like, yeah, my brain's saying it's like screw all of you. That was basically what it felt like, and I couldn't. And what I didn't like about it was that one of the side effects caused weight gain, and I was like near obese for my age group back in middle school and into high school, and eventually I lost the weight with P90X, which is a 90-day workout program from Beachbody, and I lost it. Uh, I did that with my dad for a whole 90 days. And I think by the first week, I was crawling up the stairs. And I was like, I didn't even know I had muscles in my body. Ow, this hurts. But I like the way I felt because when I lost the weight, I was able to stand up to the bullies. I had enough confidence, and my clothes started fitting me. I got new clothes, and I remember my muscles were sticking out from my shirt, and it's like, oh, the bullies have no idea who they just pissed off. I was kind of like the Hulk, but I just didn't turn green. But I think my face turned red, uh, like a volcano, sort of.
Yeah, you love weather.
Thank you.
But it's all good. So you kind of use that motivation to get into P90X, and that inspired you to come out and talk to others about how they can help each other feel more confident.
Well, that didn't start until 2019, where I got my first. I had my first. Yeah, I had my first interview in 2019, and I mean, I still have it on my YouTube channel, and uh, and there's times that periodically uh, go back and watch it because but you could barely even hear what I had to say, and there's some people who like it who don't like it, but if you saw that video today, you would be like, how's this guy even speaking now? Because it's like you could barely hear me like blah, 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 blah. Now I'm like I can't shut up.
Yeah, that's good. That means you kind of got on the right track. So we're gonna take a quick break from our sponsor guys, and we'll be right back on the flip side. And we're gonna get a little more into detail about what exactly other people on the autism spectrum can do. How can they kind of get motivated? How can they start changing up their lives? Everyone knows this is something that I am dear to. We work with it all the time, and we absolutely love having people like you on, Jimmy. So we'll take a quick break, and we'll be right back. For us, we know what it's like to feel unhealthy, depressed, and downright defeated. We want to show others there is a right way, and through fitness, you could do anything you set your mind to. Fitness can give you that motivation, confidence, energy you need to bridge that mental gap and prevent you from missing important life events. We understand it's about feeling better, living longer, and being good examples for our kids. We understand this because we live it. And for us, that's the redefined difference. Hey everybody, and welcome back. We got Jimmy Clare on. He's talking to us, and I really want to know now kind of how you help inspire others. Like, what do you do to help other people that are in similar situations like yourself?
Well, for instance, I go on podcasts, share my stories. I write articles on my website, and even though not every single article is about autism and this, there's little hints and everything that still stays on track. And so you might, I might have a reference or two or three, maybe four. And I run my own podcast called Crazy Fitness Guy Healthy Living Podcast. Now, before you say that's a mouthful, uh, it used to be 66 characters versus I think it's 35 or 36 now. So I didn't want to just put it to like Crazy Fitness Guy Podcast. Sounds boring.
Yeah. It's definitely a mouthful though. So what are some things that you talk about? And
Well, I talk about on the show. I have different guests from different autism advocates. I've had motivational speakers, personal trainers, authors of books, and other many other things, and other people who have their own podcasts, and people talk about podcasting. And I always tell people that, just because I have a certain categories listed on my website for the podcast, I really find that there's not. I like to cover a lot of uh, topics, and I don't want to just gear toward just one thing because after a while it's kind of like sort of being a dead horse, and it's like I want to keep everything fun, fresh, and it's like, oh, I want to keep coming back every single week to watch and listen. It's always a different guest, and I always feel like you need a balance between just all the topics. So everything that has a balanced lifestyle. I believe in a balanced lifestyle because a lot of the diets you see, you take away meat, take away carbs, and take away this. Well, you need carbs for energy. It's like there's good carbs, there's bad carbs. You need the good carbs in order to survive. Because like in karate class, I literally saw somebody almost uh, they almost basically like toppled over because they did not eat the right kind of foods before class. And it's like, yeah, I'm not doing that.
it's definitely important to make sure you're eating right to kind of help yourself with what you're doing, whether it's karate or hitting the gym or going for a run. You want to make sure you're getting the right proper nutrition sources so you don't get dizzy, lightheaded, pass out, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But I still want to kind of move on a little bit with about your life. So what are you doing now for yourself?
For me, uh, I've mm, I've been challenging myself each and every single day to uh, learn more new stuff by listening to other people's podcasts. Uh, I I actually have a TV right here. I have a TED Talk downloaded on my Roku TV. Uh, I've also I read a lot of books. Uh, I still watch TV on the weekends, watching Netflix. Uh, During the week, I don't watch so much TV because, you know, I, in my opinion, I think cable's a big total scam. 100, yeah, it's like, oh, we offer 800 plus channels. Yeah, 100 of them, like 300 of them repeat. So basically, you get 100. So great scam.
So what about your fitness life? Are you still working out? Are you still doing P90X?
I work out 3 days a week on Beachbody on demand, and then the other three I do kickboxing, uh, and I've been doing karate since basically since like the pretty much when I was like maybe maybe five, I mean four maybe, and I've been doing it ever since. And I took a 10-year break and then I came back in 2017, had a restart, but I'm at a green belt with four stripes on it. And on Beachbody on Demand, I've been doing this program called 6 Weeks of the Work with, what's his name? crap, I forget. I think his name is Amar Caesar, and and yeah, I've been doing that program. I've done a lot of different Beach Body On Demand programs over the years. I did P90X twice just to see if I could do it again. uh, uh, I don't think I'm going to do that anytime soon again, just because I like to change it up. The reason why I do 3 on 3 is just because I like working out 6 days a week, but I know I can't do 4 days of karate in a row because it's like, ow. As because during the week, sometimes they don't. They usually do the same thing 3 days uh, during that week, and the same thing. And if you're doing the same thing over and over again, it's like this is boring. But at least if it's every other day, it's like sometimes you might get that. They might just switch it up on you the next night. Uh, at least that's what you think sometimes, and then it's like, "Ooh, this is cool." And like I don't because I've sometimes on a Monday we do one thing, and on Wednesday we did not do this on Monday. And people's like, "Forget what happened on Monday. You focus on now." And it's like easier said than done.
I love it. And I guess to kind of start wrapping this up, Jimmy, is what would be your advice for listeners if they were growing up in like a similar situation for you? How would you, if you got the chance to talk to them directly one on one, what would be your message to them?
Um, Basically, my messages would be: do not listen to the naysayers. At the end of the day, yeah, sure, they have all the science, but science can be proven wrong. And uh, I don't know if this is too soon, but look what happened to the CDC. They're wrong. Uh, Not saying that, not to uh, piss off anyone, but just saying they were wrong, and they at least they admit they're wrong, which I give them credit for because there's a lot of companies I really wish that they could just admit wrong sometimes when stuff doesn't work when I'm using their marketing tools or something. They just point fingers at me. It's like, it's your podcast. And it's like, yeah, sure. If it was working for like 3 or 4 years in a row and then just out of the blue, it's my podcast. Okay, sure.
Yeah, and I think the point of that is kind of like the point we were saying from the reason we started this podcast in the first place is it's more about not believing a diagnosis. It's not believing that when someone tells you that you can't do something based upon XYZ, whether you can never walk again, you can never live a normal life, you can never do things like all the other kids can, and you're kind of stuck in this situation where you have all these professionals telling you one thing, and then you get that chance to really come out and prove them wrong. And it's really just teaching others that if you may hear something, someone may tell you something, but there's always another way. There's always a way to come over things. There's always a way to better your life. And yeah, it might not be 100%, but you can do triple what they told you can do. You can do quadruple what they told you can do. And that's been the same kind of story we're hearing over and over and over and over and over again on this show. And that's kind of where I want the message to get across is just because you're diagnosed immobile or diagnosed whatever, it doesn't matter. It doesn't mean you can't take what you're given, process it, figure it out, and then help get yourself better, moving in the right direction, helping other people. And Jimmy, I think you're a pretty good example of that, where it's you went through a lot as a kid and then came out on top. And that's always the point where you want to show others there is a hope. Look, if I did it, you can do it.
Exactly. And, you know, I wouldn't mind if, like, professionals these days, if they say, hey, this is what the science shows of where they might have a struggle, but, you know, there's always hope. There's always, uh, they always can learn this stuff later on. It might take them quite a bit of time to learn it, just be patient, etc. But, you know, I just don't want people to think like, oh, it's 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 engraved in their life and that's it. I'm like, yeah, autism is part of me. It's always going to be a part of me. I would never, even if there was a pill or some kind of thing to cure it, I wouldn't take it because I would feel bad for all the other people who tried it before me and say, we're not lab rats.
I love that. That's a really good place to kind of leave this. That's a great message. So thank you for sharing that. And I want to ask you the same two final questions like I ask everybody. The first one is if you were to summarize this episode in 1 or 2 sentences, what would be your take-home message?
Everyone has to overcome challenges in their life, and there's and just don't listen to the naysayers. I know it's easier said than done, but I could have easily given up on life at the very beginning, but my parents didn't give up on me. My friends, extended family, they all stuck to me by my side through thick, through thin.
I love it. Thank you for sharing that. And then the second question, the easiest one of all, how can people find you, get a hold of you? Go for it.
The easiest way is just to go to crazyfitnessguy.com. Basically, me and Crazy Fitness Guy are, it might sound funny, are two separate entities because one of the people, when I tweeted my first tweet out on Crazy Fitness Guy for a milestone, no one seemed to care whatsoever. But then when I stepped behind outside of my brand, there's like, oh, congratulations. And I was like, okay, I guess me and Crazy Fitness Guy can have two different profiles. So I'm basically on 100 plus channels with me and Crazy Fitness Guy on separately. So yeah.
I love it. And thank you guys for joining us on this week's episode of Health and Fitness Redefined. Don't forget, hit that subscribe button and join us next week as we dive deeper into this ever-changing field. And this is finally a really appropriate message. Fitness is medicine. Until next time.